Welcome back to another empowering episode of D.R.S. Hakim's Wealth Lessons. Today's lesson is entitled, The Power of Delayed Gratification, Why Lasting Wealth Requires Patience and Wise Decisions. D.R.S. Hakim will explain why the ability to postpone temporary pleasure is essential for developing financial stability, responsible behavior, and lasting wealth. Before we begin, let us consider 3 questions submitted by our viewers from around the world. Layla from Casablanca, Morocco asks, D.R.S. Hakim, I have been working consistently toward my goals, but my progress is slower than I expected. How can I remain patient without feeling that I am wasting my time? Marcus from San Juan, Puerto Rico asks, how can I distinguish patiently persevering toward a worthwhile goal from remaining committed to something that is no longer working? Alicia from Tucson, Arizona asks, can impatience cause someone to lose wealth or opportunities they have already worked hard to create? Thank you, Layla, Marcus, and Alicia, for submitting your thoughtful questions. D.R.S. Hakim will respond to each of them near the end of today's lesson. With that, I will turn today's lesson over to D.R.S. Hakim.
Thank you, Sarah, for that gracious introduction. As I sit inside the Grand Egyptian Museum in Cairo, before this elegant golden pharaonic display, I am reminded that the most enduring achievements are rarely created overnight. They are built through patience, preparation, discipline, and the willingness to postpone immediate rewards for something of greater and more lasting value. For that reason, this remarkable setting compels me to reflect upon the power of delayed gratification. In our previous lesson, we examined the power of consistency. We learned that occasional excellence rarely produces the same results as dependable excellence. A person may act wisely once, work diligently for several days, or remain committed while enthusiasm is high. However, lasting progress requires the individual to continue practicing constructive behavior, even when the experience becomes less exciting, more demanding, or temporarily unrewarding. We also learned that consistency does not require perfection. A consistent person may experience fatigue, disappointment, mistakes, or interruptions. What distinguishes that individual is the willingness to return to the principle, rather than allowing one setback to become a permanent retreat. Today, we will build upon that foundation by examining a quality that makes consistency sustainable: delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is the willingness to postpone a smaller immediate reward in order to obtain a greater and more valuable future benefit. It is the ability to recognize that something may feel desirable now, while understanding that accepting it prematurely could weaken what you are attempting to build. This principle influences much more than spending money. It affects education, business, professional advancement, relationships, health, reputation, leadership, and spiritual development. Whenever a worthwhile result requires preparation, sacrifice, disciplined behavior, or time, delayed gratification becomes essential. Many individuals desire the appearance of success before developing the substance required to sustain it. They want recognition before mastery, expansion before stability, rewards before completion, and financial freedom before learning financial responsibility. They may sincerely desire wealth, yet remain unwilling to practice the behaviors upon which lasting wealth depends. The desire for immediate gratification is powerful because the present reward is visible, while the future reward is often uncertain. The immediate purchase can be seen. The temporary comfort can be felt. The approval of others may be received at once. By contrast, the benefits of saving, studying, waiting, preparing, and behaving responsibly may not become visible for months or even years. That delay can cause people to misunderstand progress. When they do not immediately see the result, they assume nothing is happening. They may abandon a sound process, change direction unnecessarily, or consume resources that should have been protected. Patience must therefore be properly understood. Patience is not laziness, passivity, or indecision. It does not mean remaining motionless while expecting life to improve on its own. Genuine patience is active. It continues learning, preparing, improving, and behaving responsibly while allowing sufficient time for sound principles to produce their natural results. A patient person is not merely waiting. A patient person is preparing without demanding premature rewards. This distinction is extremely important. Two individuals may appear to be waiting for the same opportunity, yet one is developing competence, while the other is merely hoping. One is improving judgment, strengthening discipline, and becoming more prepared. The other is complaining that success has not yet arrived. When the opportunity eventually appears, the difference between them becomes visible. The prepared individual possesses the capacity to recognize, manage, and preserve the opportunity. The unprepared individual may receive the same opportunity, but lack the qualities necessary to benefit from it. Wealth is not merely something a person acquires. It is also something a person must become capable of handling. Before someone can responsibly manage greater financial resources, that person must develop greater judgment. Before expanding a business, the owner must acquire the systems, knowledge, and leadership needed to manage additional responsibility. Before receiving greater influence, an individual must become trustworthy enough to use that influence wisely. This is why premature rewards can sometimes become destructive. When people receive opportunities before developing the character required to manage them, those opportunities may magnify their existing weaknesses. Greater income may increase irresponsible spending. Greater recognition may strengthen arrogance. Greater authority may reveal poor judgment. Rapid growth may create confusion when adequate systems have not been established. Delayed gratification gives you time to strengthen that foundation. It allows you to develop capacity before attempting to carry greater weight. Therefore, instead of asking only, "How quickly can I obtain what I desire?" begin asking, "What must I become capable of doing before I can responsibly obtain, manage, multiply, and preserve it?" That question shifts your attention from appearance to preparation. It encourages you to stop pretending to possess success and begin developing the qualities that make success sustainable. Delayed gratification also requires the ability to separate desires from genuine needs. Many financially harmful decisions occur because individuals describe strong desires as urgent necessities. They say, "I need this now," when they actually mean, "I strongly desire this now." The emotional intensity of the desire creates a false sense of urgency. That urgency weakens judgment and encourages immediate action. A mature person learns to place a pause between desire and decision. During that pause, ask yourself, will this choice strengthen or weaken my future? Does it support my stated priorities? Am I responding to wisdom, pressure, comparison, fear, or temporary emotion? Will this decision remain valuable after the immediate excitement has disappeared? That pause does not exist to eliminate enjoyment from life. Responsible enjoyment is healthy. The problem arises when consumption continually occurs before preparation, when celebration precedes completion, or when appearance is valued more highly than stability. Some people receive additional income and immediately increase all of their expenses. Others receive a promising opportunity and begin displaying success before that opportunity has produced reliable results. Another individual may accumulate a financial reserve and quickly consume it, because possessing money temporarily creates the feeling of abundance. These behaviors reveal an inability to allow resources to mature. The person is attempting to harvest before the crop is ready. Delayed gratification does not require permanent deprivation. It teaches the proper sequence of responsibility and reward. First, establish stability. Then, enjoy from strength. First, complete the necessary work. Then celebrate the achievement. First, protect what has been created. Then determine how much may be responsibly consumed without weakening the future. For this reason, patience is not merely a waiting skill. It is a decision-making skill. Let us now consider delayed gratification through the principle of triadic alignment. Your cranial brain may understand the long-term value of waiting. It can evaluate information, compare alternatives, calculate consequences, and recognize that a disciplined decision will produce a greater future benefit. However, intellectual understanding alone may not be sufficient. Your heart brain may still desire immediate comfort, recognition, pleasure, or approval. At the same time, your gut brain may respond to fear, urgency, social pressure, or the anxiety that you will lose the opportunity if you do not act immediately. When the cranial brain, heart brain, and gut brain are pulling in different directions, internal friction develops. Triadic alignment requires your cranial brain to understand the principle, your heart to value the future that the principle protects, and your gut to possess the courage to act upon that understanding. When these three become aligned around a common purpose, delayed gratification no longer feels like meaningless deprivation. It becomes an expression of self-respect and responsible protection. You are protecting your stability from impulsive decisions. You are protecting your future opportunities from present-day carelessness. Most importantly, you are protecting the person you are becoming from the habits of the person you are attempting to outgrow. Your goals must therefore be connected to a meaningful purpose. Saving merely because someone tells you to save may not create sufficient emotional commitment. However, saving to protect your family, establish independence, develop a responsible enterprise, support education, or contribute to a meaningful mission gives the heart a stronger reason to cooperate. Your cranial brain defines the plan. Your heart connects the plan to purpose. Your gut provides the courage to follow through. That is triadic alignment expressed through behavior. Delayed gratification is also opposed by negative acidic toxins, or NATs. These are thoughts and interpretations that weaken judgment and encourage destructive behavior. NATs may appear through statements such as, "I deserve this now. Everyone else already has more than I do. I have waited long enough." Or, if the results are not visible now, the process must not be working. Comparison is one of the strongest NATs associated with impatience. When people compare their private development with someone else's public success, they begin to feel behind. That feeling may provoke rushed decisions. They may purchase what they cannot responsibly afford, imitate a strategy they do not fully understand, or abandon a sound process because another person appears to be progressing faster. Comparison creates emotional urgency, but urgency is not evidence. To resist NATs, you must intentionally nourish your cranial brain and heart brain with positive essential nutrients, or PENs. Replace "I am falling behind" with "my responsibility is to develop according to sound principles." Replace "I deserve this now" with "I deserve a future that has not been weakened by today's impulse." Replace "nothing is happening" with "I will measure the process honestly and recognize development that may not yet be visible." PENs are not fantasies. They do not require you to deny reality or pretend that every process is working perfectly. Their purpose is to help you think clearly enough to evaluate reality without allowing negative emotions to control your behavior. Patience must therefore remain connected to honest assessment. You should remain patient with sound principles, but you should not remain passive toward ineffective behavior. Continue examining your methods, measuring your progress, learning from evidence, and making thoughtful corrections. Time does not automatically improve every situation. Time magnifies what is repeatedly practiced. Wise behavior may grow stronger over time, but poor behavior may also become more deeply established. Therefore, patience must remain teachable. A patient person can continue pursuing the same worthwhile purpose while changing the method used to achieve it. Adjusting a plan when better information becomes available is not failure, it is evidence of wisdom. Consider a person who plants an orchard. The planter understands that fruit trees may require years of care before producing a meaningful harvest. During that period, the person must water the trees, improve the soil, prune unhealthy branches, and protect the orchard from disease. Patience, however, does not mean ignoring the condition of the trees. The planter respects the natural timetable of growth while remaining attentive to the quality of the process. Your goals require the same balance. Worthwhile results often require time, but you must continue examining your behavior. The absence of immediate results does not automatically mean you should quit. One of the greatest signs of maturity is the ability to delay an emotional reaction long enough to examine the evidence. Impatience often demands an immediate decision: quit now, spend now, or change everything now. Wisdom creates enough distance to determine whether the emotion is identifying a genuine problem or merely expressing temporary discomfort. Yet, these qualities often precede financial transformation. Greater financial results frequently emerge after the individual has become more capable, disciplined, credible, and trustworthy. Internal transformation may be taking place long before the external reward becomes visible. Therefore, do not measure every form of progress by money alone. Examine whether your decisions are becoming wiser. Notice whether you honor your commitments more consistently and whether you pause before acting upon emotional urgency. The deeper purpose of delayed gratification is not simply to help you wait for wealth. It is to transform you into someone who is not controlled by every appetite, emotion, trend, or social pressure. A person who cannot govern temporary desires may struggle to preserve long-term achievements. This is why earning wealth and preserving wealth require different forms of maturity. Ambition may help you pursue an opportunity, but patience and delayed gratification may help you protect the results. Delayed gratification also strengthens dignity. When you refuse to betray your future for temporary approval, you demonstrate that your principles are not available for purchase. When you remain committed to preparation, instead of pretending to possess what you have not yet earned, you protect your integrity. Not every immediate reward deserves acceptance. Some opportunities appear profitable, while quietly requiring the sacrifice of values, reputation, peace, or long-term stability. A wise person does not merely ask, "What can I gain?" That person also asks, "What might this decision cost me beyond money?" Wealth that requires the destruction of character is not genuine prosperity. A financial gain accompanied by the loss of integrity, trust, or self-respect is far more expensive than it initially appears. As we conclude today's teaching, remember that neither patience nor delayed gratification is a weakness. They're governed by strength. It is the ability to possess desire without allowing desire to possess you. I would like to leave you with this principle. Those who continually surrender their future to the demands of the present will eventually discover that temporary satisfaction has created permanent limitation. Your future is being shaped by what you repeatedly prioritize today. Every time you choose preparation over appearance, responsibility over impulse, and long-term value over temporary satisfaction, you strengthen your capacity to earn, manage, multiply, and preserve lasting wealth. Before we address today's viewer questions, I encourage you to identify one area in which impatience has been influencing your decisions. Do not merely admire the principle, apply it. Now, let us turn our attention to the 3 questions presented by Sarah at the beginning of today's lesson. Layla, thank you for your honest question. Slow progress and wasted time are not necessarily the same. The more important question is whether your current behavior is developing greater capacity and moving you in a sound direction. Even when the final result has not appeared, the process may be strengthening your knowledge, judgment, discipline, confidence, and ability to manage future opportunities. Those developments are valuable even when they are not immediately visible. Nevertheless, patience should not prevent honest evaluation. Establish meaningful indicators that allow you to measure whether progress is occurring. Examine whether your skills are improving, whether the quality of your work is increasing, whether your judgment is becoming stronger, and whether you are receiving evidence that your efforts are moving in the correct direction. You should also examine your original timetable. Sometimes discouragement develops because the expectation was unrealistic, rather than because the process was ineffective. When reality does not conform to the timetable we imagined, we may incorrectly conclude that we are failing. A more mature response is to revise the timetable while preserving the worthwhile objective. Continue learning, continue measuring, and continue correcting. When you are becoming wiser, stronger, and better prepared, the process is already producing value. Marcus, thank you for your intriguing question. Begin by separating the purpose from the strategy. Your purpose may remain worthwhile even when the current method is ineffective. Many people believe that adjusting the strategy means abandoning the dream. In reality, flexibility may be what protects the dream. Next, distinguish temporary frustration from consistent evidence. A few difficult weeks, rejections, or disappointing results do not always justify abandoning a sound process. Every worthwhile journey includes inconvenience, uncertainty, and correction. However, when reliable evidence repeatedly demonstrates that a method is not producing progress, continuing without adjustment may no longer represent patience. It may represent fear, pride, or an unwillingness to admit that change is necessary. Patient perseverance remains teachable. It continues learning, measuring, and adjusting. Stubborn persistence rejects evidence because the ego has become more committed to appearing correct than to producing the right result. Alicia, thank you for your deeply thought-provoking question. The answer is unquestionably yes. Impatience can destroy in a short period what discipline required years to create. After experiencing success, people sometimes become more vulnerable to impatience because achievement can create a false sense of invulnerability. They may begin believing that previous success guarantees the accuracy of every future decision. As a result, they move too quickly, ignore warnings, or expand without preparation. The ability to say "not yet" is one of the most valuable forms of financial wisdom. Not yet does not necessarily mean never. It means the opportunity should be approached when the necessary preparation, information, and capacity are present. Those who cannot say "not yet" may eventually be forced to say, "I wish I had waited." Remember that preservation is not fearfulness. It is responsible stewardship. This is the reason I encourage the retraining of the brain and heart in order to triadically align for success. Before we conclude today's lesson, I encourage you to conduct a personal audit of your own capacity for delayed gratification. Ask yourself the following questions honestly. Do I allow temporary emotions to make decisions? Am I willing to postpone immediate pleasure for a greater long-term reward? When progress is slower than expected, do I remain patient? Do I make decisions based on wisdom or immediate comfort? Am I becoming the type of person prepared to manage greater wealth? As you move forward, remember that delayed gratification is not simply the ability to wait. It is the wisdom to use the waiting period productively. Continue preparing, continue evaluating, and continue developing the character required to manage the future you desire. Thank you for being part of this dynamic, growing community. If today's lesson has benefited you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, and share this lesson with someone who may also benefit from these principles. We would also love to hear from you. If you have a question regarding today's lesson or any of the principles discussed throughout this series, please leave it in the comments section. Until next time, live long, maintain high standards, perform the best deeds, and continue to prosper.
Thank you for watching. We hope today's lesson has encouraged you to apply these timeless wealth-building principles in your own life. To gain a broader understanding of the principles we've discussed throughout this series, we encourage you to invest in your future transformation by securing a copy of each of D.R.S. Hakim's wealth-empowering and transformative manuscripts. Visit our online bookstore at retrainyourbrainforsuccess.com. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. There is much more to discover, and we look forward to seeing you in our next exciting wealth lesson. And remember, as D.R.S. Hakim has often stated, procrastination is the enemy of success.